What's up, fighting fans? Tips from the Fight IQ channel. Today we're coming back for another episode of the Fight IQ Unplugged. And this week I had the chance and the opportunity to get to know better Shannon Clark. Shannon is a professional MMA fighter and she's the current LFA Flyweight champion. So let's cut to the chase and have a chat with her. Fans, tips from the Fight IQ channel. Today I'm with Shannon Clark. Shannon Clark is the LFA Flyweight champion. Thank you very much, Shannon, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
As I was saying, you are MMA professional athlete and current LFA Flyweight champion with a professional record of 5-0 and representing Lethbridge Police. Could you share with us how you first got involved into MMA?
Yeah, it was quite a while ago. I dated a guy who fought, and he kind of just brought me into the gym and told me to do a regular kickboxing class. I was also playing for the university here, soccer, and then kind of just fell in love with the sport. Once I was done my university career graduated, I started doing more kickboxing classes, and then eventually, and it was more just to stay in shape at the time.
Yeah.
It was just more, gotta punch something, never punched anything in my life. And then kind of started doing it like daily. And then it was just like, well, I trained so much, let's just see what it's like to take a fight. And then that kind of is how it started. I tried to, I think I fought in September, my very first amateur fight, something like that.
Yeah.
That year is when I started like really trying to do MMA. So, I mean, I think it was like
6 years ago?
I don't know, 6 to 8 months of training, I
Oh,
think it was. Yeah, of like really MMA training, and that's kind of just went in there, and yeah, I don't think really I did much MMA or ground game before that. It was just that year, I think 2019, I think I was my first fight.
yep.
Yeah, okay, so it was that January I started actually doing MMA training and stuff, but before that it was just like the regular adult kickboxing, stay in shape kind of style stuff.
Impressive. So you're from Canada. That's a country we delivered a lot of great fighter over the year in MMA. A few MMA legends, to be honest. As is that a fact that has something to do with the fact that you wanted also to be a fighter, the fact that you being Canadian having an influence over the fact that you wanted to be a fighter?
No.
Not at
It
all.
was more just love the sport. I honestly used to hate MMA.
All right.
Yeah, I used to watch. Sometimes I would be like in a pub and they'd be playing UFC fights, and the only way I could actually watch it, because I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. Um, my if I was at the table like with my dad, we would always do like little bit of betting. So it'd be like they would bet money. I would bet like we're talking like $1, and
Okay.
then I would bet like those. My dad would get like those chocolate loony coins. And I would bet like with those, and so that's the only way I'd watch it. Before that, I hated MMA. I thought it was so dumb. Two people would want to try and beat each other up. It was some 180, but yeah, no, I definitely always thought it was a dumb sport.
Yeah, and now you're a star in it.
Right?
But did you have an inspiration when you started fighting? Did you have somebody you looked up to?
No,
No.
honestly, no. And truthfully, I don't really know a whole lot of UFC people. I don't watch the sport much. I
Yeah,
just love training it. So,
that's even more impressive. So you're training in your hometown, Lethbridge Police. Can you describe to us what it's like for you to train there, the impact it had on your fighting career and on your life too?
Yeah, so originally I trained at Canadian Martial Arts Center here, actually in Lethbridge. That's where I started. Um, and then I kind of adapted with my head coach Joel. That's where him and I like linked up. So like our background is still CMC here.
Okay.
Um, just with our schedule and the boys I train with, we go to the police station and that's where we train now. And it's actually funny, I don't train with besides Joel, like my coach. I don't train with anyone that does MMA actually.
All
They
right.
they are either grapplers basically, or they'll like they come in and they train for me, but and that's probably the huge thing is I don't really have a MMA team. It's the boys, they come, they're all there for me. They all want me to succeed. They want to get better, but I don't actually train with a lot of like fighters. Though sometimes we'll get some boys to come in from other
Yeah.
gyms or like that stuff, but no, my core boys are guys that just do this on the side like me as a hobby.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You have all the attention then.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And could you take us through what's a typical week for you? Like when you're training, what it looks like?
Like when I'm in fight camp or when I'm out of fight camp?
Is it different for you?
Yeah, it is. So while I'm in fight camp, because I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I will like when I'm in fight camp, I'll get up probably before because I also have two babies. So
Okay.
before they get up for the day, I may train and then I'll get them ready to go to daycare, go to work. My lunch break, I'll train. Then it depends after work, I'll either train like we're talking like also like lift weights, do cardio, not just train the whole
Yeah.
time, but either after work before I pick the kids up from daycare or when they go to bed. That's when I finish off my sessions, depending on the days. Um, that's what I do when I'm in fight camp. When I'm not in fight camp, the last week I took completely off from everything. I give myself 1 week to eat whatever I want, put some weight back on, and then starting today it'll be back to like I'll do training and then I'll do weights or I'll do cardio and weights or I'll do training and cardio. Like I'll do about 2 sessions a day
Okay.
on my off season instead of 3,
Wow.
just so that way I can have a little bit more of a life.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds pretty hectic to be honest. So
Yeah.
you just mentioned you have a full-time job. Is it because that's something that you want, or is it because financially MMA has not come to the point that you can live off it for now?
No, I went to university to be a financial advisor. Since I was in grade 2, I've always wanted to be a financial advisor, actually. And I work with my dad. We are 50-50 in the company now. Um, and this is actually my career. This is something I love and will always do. Actually, MMA is literally just a side hobby for me.
Okay,
I, I I'm very competitive, so I want to see how far I can go, but it's not about the money or anything. It's literally just I don't want to lose.
okay, but it's not the end game for you. The MMA. It's just like okay, you want to compete as much as you can, for,
Yep.
or far you can, but that's not your dream job to be an MMA fighter full
No,
time.
no, it's financial advising, which is what I do. So,
I think
yeah.
that's great.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you don't have really a full MMA team behind you. You have more training partners that come to you. But are you also sometime mixing it up and going to other gym, like to find different partners, different type of yeah, different type of sparring
Um,
partners?
yeah, during fight camps, not really,
Okay.
just because we don't have that. I don't have the time. Um, but when we're not in fight camp, we try. Like, there's like we still go to like the Canadian Martial Arts Center here in Lethbridge. We'll train there a little bit, or like I said, there's other guys from other
Yeah.
gyms that will come to me. But me going to other gyms, there's just not a whole lot of other places to go to,
Yeah.
unless we want to drive. So again, we've gone to them, like, and we love them. It's just timing, and because of how busy my life is already with the family life and everything, it's just I don't get to go as much as I'd like to. But that being said, when we keep fighting, we're gonna have to start going. We're gonna have to start making more time because if you can make it to the next level or right, your competition's only getting better, we're gonna start branching out. It's just so far I haven't had to do that yet.
Yeah. I understand. Um, you're called the MMA Barbie. I want to know where does it come from? Who named you that?
It's funny because I actually don't call myself that.
Yeah.
Everyone calls me that. One of my best friends who comes to all my fights, she's called me that. She knew me before I was a fighter, obviously,
Okay.
and was just like, "You're not a fighter. You're a Barbie. Like you're too pretty to fight. You're too nice. You're a girl. Like not the typical fighter attitude." Um, so she's always called me the MMA Barbie, and just the more fights I've done, the more people that call me that, and now everyone just thinks that's my nickname or my fighting name. So I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I never had one, so I was like,
Yeah.
whatever people call me, sure.
You don't
So
you
that's how
don't
that started.
you don't really care to be honest, right? It doesn't
No,
matter to you. Yeah.
no, it doesn't.
And I think it's good that a nickname always come from someone else. I was having a chat with Tom Crosby, who is an octagon fighter in Europe, and he say a nickname has to be earned. That cannot something that you choose for yourself. So that's funny. That's your best friend choose for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, she always is like, I get credit. I guess you do. So to give her credit, her name's Mel McGill. There we go.
Okay, shout out. Let's talk a bit about your amateur days. There were not a lot because I saw on the information I got, I saw that you had only 3 fights. Is that correct? 3 amateur fights in MMA?
Yeah,
Yeah, which is not a lot. And as you said, you started competing in 2019, which was approximately 6 to 8 months after your first MMA training. Impressive.
yeah.
You had 2 finishes in those 3 fights, which is also a really good ratio. Um, was that you didn't have more fight because you felt that you were ready to go to a next level, or was that lack of opponents? So because you like to compete, you needed to go pro.
Um, my coach told me to go pro, so I said okay. That's kind of what
Simple
happened.
as that.
I just listened to him. No, I think it was more I think he thought I was ready to go pro because I'm such an aggressive fighter that it was like, no, the elbows will help you, like that kind of stuff. So I think he was like, let's go. Yeah, no, I was just whatever he told me to do, I said sounds good. Like I trust my coach, so whatever.
But
Yeah.
that was not something you were aiming for.
No, no, I didn't really care. He just, like I said, I just, every fight for me needs to mean more than the last one.
Okay.
So it was like, because my thing was, let's just do one fight. That's all I told my family I'm doing. And then from there, we're done. And then it was, I won. And I was like, well, maybe I got lucky. Like, am
Maybe
I
you have
good?
more.
I don't know. And then it was like one more fight. And then Joel was like, okay, let's go pro. So I was like, well, I have to do one pro fight. And then it was like, I got a contract with Unified, which is like a pretty big thing in Lethbridge. So I was like, hey, I'm the first girl to get the contract with them. Okay, I'll do one. And then it was like, then I got offered the title belt here in Lethbridge. I was like, okay, well, I have to do that one. And then it was like, you go with the LFA. And I'm like, well, I have to do that. And then the title belt. And you're like, okay, I'll do that one. So I don't know.
So,
Every fight just keeps meaning more.
what is going to be needed to keep you going then?
Yeah. So not sure what else we're doing, but as of right now, that's what's happening. One more fight at a time.
Um, during your amateur days, you had a break of almost 2 years between your second and third fight, if I'm correct. Was it because of COVID? Because of course at the time the pandemic arrived in 2020. Is it because of this, or was it you didn't have time?
Well, actually, I had, well, so in between these fighting, I've actually had two kids.
Okay,
So I had a kid in December of 2020.
all right.
So I was pregnant all up until then. And then, which is when COVID. So I actually was supposed to fight the whole world shut down in, I don't know if it was March or
Yeah,
when,
something like
right?
this. Yeah.
Yeah. So that weekend I was actually on my way to Edmonton to start cutting for my fight. And then the whole world shut down. And I was like, whoa. And actually, it turns out that that's when we were pregnant or whatever. We obviously didn't show at that time because we're only a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So, but then I ended up having a baby in December. So I don't know when my fight for that next one, I think was October or something. In 2021, I think I had a
Yeah.
fight and then got pregnant and had a baby. Or I don't know if I had one or two fights. I can't remember everything. But like then I also had a baby in February of 2022.
All
So I've
right.
had two kids since then. So that's the big stretches was because I was pregnant.
Okay. So it's even more impressive that after all that you come back and win and go pro after that. So that's amazing. Um, MMA, fighting sport in general, to be honest, are more about, or at least people talk more about the physical shape, like if people are have good conditioning and stuff like this. But I think it's also a lot about the mental strength, which is a bit underrated and not
Mhm.
so much talked about. You seem really strong. Like you say, you are really competitive. You keep going to the higher level. How do you train that mentality?
Oh God, I suck at my mental game. um, Let's be honest, I suck at that part. I have a really good coach that helps me through that. My husband's really good with that too. Lean on those two to help me a lot and get me through. Um, that's actually the hardest for me.
All
It's
right.
not the training or the fighting or anything like that. My mental side sucks. So we're working on that every fight. They've learned a lot about me and they adapt and they help me through it so much. I can't even imagine
You hide
ever
it really
doing anything
well.
without them. They're very good to me. So they help me through a lot. Yeah. That's actually the fun thing I lack.
Okay, but when you say your mental games suck, what do you mean? You get nervous, or how does it?
Oh, for sure I get nervous, but like I just don't believe in myself. I don't think I'm that good of a fighter. Um so the confidence I don't have a lot of. And I'm just a very like I said, competitive. So I need to beat the Shannon from the last fight.
All right,
It's not like I'm competitive with other people.
it's
Like
just yourself.
it's just myself. So I put a lot of pressure on myself because to me, why am I taking this much time away from my friends and family if I'm not going to get better than how I was? So I need to get better. So yeah, and then the worst part is I have a bad memory. Like I don't remember how I used to be. So like during fight camps, they'll be like, "Okay, you did this better." And I'm like, "Well, did I always used to do this?" And
Yeah.
they're like, "No, you just did this like 2 weeks ago. You started doing something like this." I'm like, "Oh, I always forget." So they're very supportive that way. Thank goodness, because like I said, I have no idea how I am as a or how like I've progressed or I like to me I'm still the same Shannon that fought my first
Yeah.
amateur. I feel like I'm the exact same way. I don't remember how I used to be, what I used to know, but yeah, no, they helped me a lot that way for sure.
Do you think your husband is your number one fan?
I think my coach is my number one fan,
That's good.
truthfully. Um, Definitely. I would say my dad is also a really big fan. He's so proud of me, and it's so funny to listen to him talk about me to his friends. I'm just like, oh my God, dad, no one cares. Um, but no, like my husband obviously is my fan too, but I don't know. I don't hear him talk to other people when he's at work and like that. It's just I work with my dad, so I hear him talk so
Yeah,
much. And then obviously I'm around my coach with other people, so I just hear
of
those
course.
two talk so much about me. So I'd say those two are my biggest fans. I'm sure my husband is, but
What
I don't
about
hear him talk about me.
what about your kids, by the way? Are they? Of course they are still really young, but are they aware of what their mom is doing?
My boy Kyler, he just turned 2 on Valentine's Day. He has no idea. He's got no idea what I do. Um, Rosalie, she just turned 3. She knows like I go training, so she understands training. She understands there's punching involved and kicking, but like she they're both into football and hockey.
All right.
They love that sports, and I'm just like, "Ugh, hockey." But so they don't really know a whole lot about MMA. Like I said, I don't watch
Yeah.
MMA. My husband watches golf and hockey. I watch football, so they know those sports a lot more. So they know I do training and I had a fight, but they don't really comprehend what it is.
Yeah. Is that something that you want also to keep that separated from your family for or at least for your family time at home? Is that something you would like to compartment a bit?
Um, no, I think if the kids were older, I'd love them to come to a fight and maybe be like, "Oh, look at my mom wanted something." Um, but not until they're older because I don't want them to think it's okay to punch and kick people. I don't want them going to daycare and doing that and be like, "Well, my mom does it." Um,
She does it as a job, so
exactly, right? So if she can do it, why can't I? So, but I don't know if I'll be around to fight when they're as old as I'd want them to
yeah.
be when they can watch. So unfortunately, it's just that unlucky. They're really young stuff. Maybe one day, like I'll show them videos or
Yeah.
something and be like, listen, you little shits, you clean your room, but this is what's going to happen to you.
Look that hold or choke. That's for you.
Yeah, right. Don't even talk back to me. But until then, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. They're very happy with other sports. I hope they're just involved in some kind of sports, but
Now it's time for a little interludes. So I hope you don't get nervous and that you
oh God.
can keep it cool.
Okay.
It's gonna be easy. I'm not going to be mean. So that's the
Okay.
Fight IQ Dash 10 questions. You have to answer as fast as you can, and not too much thinking.
Uh-oh.
All right,
Okay.
let's
Okay.
go. For your grappling session, you're more gi or no gi?
Nogi.
All right. Sparring sessions, you like technical sparring or you like with a full intensity?
Technical.
All right. You prefer an LFA main event in Canada or undercard of the UFC in the US?
Undercard UFC.
When you're fighting, you stick to the game plan or you are adapting to your opponent?
Stick to the game plan.
For the workout music, you like something to hype you up or something to calm you down?
I keep the same song every time,
All right.
so it does both.
Fight night mentality, you aiming for the finish or you try to pace yourself to last a full fight?
I go for the finish
All
every
right.
time.
When this one you answered already, but when not fighting, you're watching fights or you're unplugging?
Nope, not watching fights.
For the legacy building, you would like to dominate one division or be versatile and go into several divisions?
One division.
All right. Post fight celebration, quiet time with the family or a night out with the team?
It's my kids have never really been there, so night out with my coach and family and friends.
All right. Last one, I cheat a bit. There is no two choice. You have to say the first thing that comes to mind. What would you be if not a fighter?
A financial advisor.
All right. Easy. You see?
Easy.
No
Okay,
trick, no
good.
trick
Thank you.
questions.
Nope.
Now we're going to your professional journey, which started in October from 2022. It was more than a year after your last amateur fight. You explain why. It's because you had a kid and you had to recover and to prepare for going pro. I wondered, was it hard for you to find a first pro opponent?
No,
No?
no, not at all, actually. Jackie just fought, and that was someone my coach had his eyes on to
Okay.
fight first. Yeah.
That's a fight that you won because of course you're undefeated, so you won all your fights until now. Rumble in the cage 63 versus Jackie McLean. You won with a finish in your hometown, validating
Mhm.
your entry into the professional world of MMA. What were you feeling after that fight? How good was it for you to win this?
It was good. I honestly don't even really remember it. I know I was very nervous going into it. I was very happy after. I mean, I don't remember her record. I want to say she was 3-1 at that time.
She was, yeah.
Um, yeah, okay. And that's not an easy first pro fight to have with someone with four pros already. So I think, and of course, my coach is like, no, like we're testing you out, get in there kind of thing. And I was like, okay. So, I was very happy I won, but I'm very critical. So then you go look and I'm just like, okay, well, this is wrong, this is wrong. And so I had mixed emotions.
Yeah,
Very happy that I got to win in front of my friends and family though. That was nice.
that's a good first fight. I think a good setup for a first fight in front of your
Mhm.
only people that wants you to perform. So I think it's nice. Um, you had your second fight like 2 months after, which is really soon, even in professional MMA. It was at Unified MMA 49 versus Joe Maisonneuve. Another win, another stoppage. Were you willing to be active as much as possible to capitalize on your first good performance at your first pro fight?
Um, yeah, it kind of just presented itself that fight that soon. I after that we because we agreed like with the with my family and stuff, it was like, hey, and just like for how hard fight camps are, it was like this got offered right away and we're like, hey, well, we're already in shape. I get my 1 week off that I always take, and then it's back to it. And then after this we were like, hey, we need a break after this. I need to learn, because to me, fight camps, you don't learn. It's literally just making yourself better of what you know.
Yeah.
It's the off season is when we take the time to learn things. So it was kind of like bam, bam, but we've all agreed no matter what the outcome of this fight is, we take time off because we need to get better.
Um, I didn't mention it before, but your first pro fights, those two, were at bantamweight. Um, at least that's what's written on the record. Uh, After that, you moved down to flyweight. What motivated that move?
Um, So I went to Phoenix for family vacation. So I trained at the MMA lab there.
Oh, nice.
They told me I'm too small to fight at 135. They
Okay.
believed that. Um, then I went to New Jersey, and I can't remember the name of that gym, obviously, but and they were really good. They said the same thing. So we kind of just took like, well, people that are obviously know more than us. We looked into that. Then we kind of, well, Joel looked into like the 135ers and stuff like that and how big they are. And I think size wise, I'm fine. It's just I'm shorter than them.
Yeah.
I have small arms. So then I have also that really small reach against them. And that's kind of why we like looked into, honestly, I'd be a perfect 130. If there
Yeah.
was a 130
If there
division,
was in between.
that's my division. 125 is a little too small and 135 is a little too big. So too bad there's no 130. That would
Yeah.
be ideal.
And are
Yeah.
you are you saying it's kind of tough to make the weight cut for flyweight?
It's not tough, it's just long. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I also don't sweat. Like I'm a very the only time I really sweat is if I'm doing really hard sprints.
Okay.
Like I can train for an hour and a half, 2 hours straight, and I don't really sweat. Like, so that's what makes it hard too, is I just am not a sweaty
That's funny.
person at all. It's usually I'm only sweaty because all the boys' sweat is on me and it's not really mine.
That's not your
Like
sweat.
it's yeah, like it's so weird. I don't know, I just don't sweat. So um whereas I think if other people had to cut the weight and do stuff, wouldn't take them as long because they sweat. Like my coaches cut weight with me, and the one time we did it, not the actual weight cutting, all of it. We just did like the physical part and we did it for an hour. I think he lost like maybe 3 pounds. I lost zero point 0.4. Like
Okay.
such a big difference. Like he sweats a lot. I don't. So it's just for me, it just takes so long to cut because I don't sweat. That's the hardest part.
I understand. But that move to flyweight is working quite good on you, I think.
Yeah.
And and 6 months later, after your second fight, sorry, you had your first pro flyweight fight, which was for a belt, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, at Rumble in the Cage 65.
Yeah.
And you won it via TKO in the first round. So I guess you were feeling yourself good at flyweight. What were you
Yeah.
feeling after getting that win in a new division and for a belt? What were you feeling after that?
Oh, that one I was so pumped for. Um, I had so many friends in that stand. I told everyone, I was like, if I somehow win this belt, everyone stay behind. I want a group photo. So I actually have a group photo of everyone that was there, friends and family that were there. And it's just like that meant the world to me that that many people even gave a shit to come watch me. Um, but like, oh, that one was probably one of the best feelings ever to have that many people there. It was so loud in that building and it was just, oh, it was awesome.
And I guess you got noticed after that because that opened you the doors of the LFA, which is, for those who don't know, one of the biggest organization, at least in the US. Um, how good did it feel that your performance were good enough to go into that kind of circle?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know LFA was big. I went there and that's when I started noticing, like people would
All
tell
right.
me, they're like, oh no, it's big. And I'd be like, yeah, okay, sounds good. Like you guys are just blowing smoke up my ass. Like, I don't know. Um, But so when we went there and then there was like media press and
Yeah.
like media interviews and pictures and I'm just like, whoa, where the frick are we? And then we like the day of the fight when we got to go and like see the cage and stuff and I'm just like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is
It's a
like
lot.
there's cameras out there. It's weird. I never really realized how big this thing is, which I mean plays probably a good that I'm so naive about the fighting because I don't put pressure on myself because like my pressure is like I said, I just don't want to lose,
Yeah.
not because I care about who's watching. Um, I just want to make sure I'm doing good. Yeah, so that probably helped. And then yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would be more excited, but to me it was just like, okay, well, cool, I get to fly somewhere. Like that was like my biggest thing was just like, yeah, I get to fly somewhere. That was the biggest thing that I was so happy about.
So yeah, your first LFA fight was at LFA 170 in October from last year
Yeah.
versus Nezra Rep. and you won via unanimous decision. Only fights that went to the distance. Do you think that's because she was the toughest opponent you got?
Oh yeah, she was definitely a tough opponent. She's probably in the best shape of any opponent I fought so far that I can think of. Um, but we've also realized a lot of things. Like for one, that day I didn't eat. I We had to go drive 2 hours to get to, my hair appointment, so like I didn't really eat that day. Like, and then we got told to not eat in the dressing room,
Okay.
so I didn't eat. You can, like,
Yeah.
it just, that was something, but I'm a very like listen to the rules, don't want to get in trouble, like all this stuff. So we've learned from that. Um, and then I also don't, like, again, I listen to the coach, or I don't like to get in trouble. Not that I was going to, but that our game plan was go against the cage, clinch, push against the cage, and beat her up. Like that was our game plan. And I listened to the game plan so much because to me it's like, well, who the hell am I to say something about my coach, right? Like in soccer, it was never, well, you don't go against what the coach is telling you to do,
Yeah.
right? But it's an individual sport, so like technically if I see something, I should do it. My coach can't see everything from the angle that he sits at, and he's not in the cage. He doesn't know what I'm thinking or how I'm feeling. So we've talked about it since then. Like there's a few things in that fight where I was just like, well, I see it, but that's not the game
Yeah.
plan, or like there's this here, but it's not. And then I talked to him after, and he's like, well, do it then. And I'm just like, well, I didn't want to get in trouble, so I'm so sorry. And then he's like, oh dear gosh. So since then, we like for this last fight, we talked about it, and it's like if you see something and you think you can do it, do it. Like you got to think for yourself. Like I said, I just didn't want to go against him and get in trouble.
You're too disciplined for your own good.
I know, and that's a flaw. That is a big flaw. Like it's good, and the coach loves it, but at the same time, it's like just fucking do it, then Shannon. Like that's what his thing was. Well, just do it.
So you said you didn't know before fighting there that LFA was that big, but once you got
Right.
there and once you got the win, did you notice something changing around you?
I had more people like interested in me, and then I was like, well, I was really upset with that performance. I just knew I could have done a lot of things differently. Hence why when I was winning, I had a big pouty face. So I got told I need to work on my winning face because I was pouting after. I was so mad at, like I said, myself, just because I know things could have been differently. Um, and plus, I hate going to decision. Like
Yeah.
I am not someone that thinks, like, to me, that's a loss in my mind. So yeah, sorry. Now I'm
No,
like
no problem.
sidetracking.
No problem.
um, but then so I had people like reaching out to me and then being like, we saw you in this, and they're just like, huh? Why? Why I don't get it. It wasn't that good of a fight in my mind. So I'm like, it was very different. Like it's just weird to think that people actually watched it or cared. I don't know. It's just different.
To just to by the way, that's the first fight I saw from you. This one, the versus Nezra Rep.
Okay.
I thought it was pretty good, but I understand your I understand your criticism, especially now that I understand that you that competitive with
Yeah.
yourself. I understand that you don't want to go to the finish, which
Yeah.
leads us to your last performance to date, which was 23 of 23rd of February, and it was for another title, the LFA Flyweight title this time against, on paper, to be honest, I saw it, I was like, wow, that's gonna be tough. Two undefeated fighters, two tough prospects
Yeah.
from flyweight division. But seeing the fight, not no disrespect to Tayani Lopez, I think she's a great prospect, and we were gonna see her again. But you dominated the fight. You finished with a highlight reel finish. I think we're gonna see that finish for a long time on socials and stuff like this. Is it your best performance to date? You think?
um No, I
No.
think my fight against Tanya was better. I mean, it depends who you're asking. My coach might say differently, but personally, um, I look at that and I see so many things I should have done differently or what I could do better. Whereas against my Tanya fight, because it was a shorter fight,
Yeah.
there's less mistakes I could have made. Um, but no, I think I could have just done a few things differently.
Yeah. Um, to be honest, that finish, it was pretty amazing. And I remember your interview post fight. You were like, I didn't know I could do that. Was it something like you were saying a few moments before that? Is that something that you saw, and you were like, okay, this time I have to go take it?
Yeah, so I'm really bad at interviews. And I got told by my mom and my sister, both of them were like, shut up at the TV because they're like, shut and stop talking. But no, so I didn't know I could do it in real life, is what I kind of meant. I practice that. I get that on the boys at home. That's actually everything we've done. I just didn't know I could actually do it in real life. Because like so any of my fights have never really been on the ground. There's been a couple times where they like I've slipped and gone on the ground or they've taken me ground on the ground, but I get right back up. Like there hasn't been a lot of me on my back in any fight actually. So this was gonna be like the best test for me because I don't know how good I am on the back on the ground. Like maybe I'm good, maybe I'm bad. Like I had no idea. And so no, when I saw that though, like that's 100% everything we've repped in training. A lot of times I knew exactly what I was doing there. I'm not gonna lie, I was very confused why she wasn't tapping. I didn't know she was out. Because I was like, I know when it's locked in and it was
Yeah.
locked in and I'm like, well, girl, like I can't lean on you anymore. Like you have all my weight on you. Again, didn't know she was out. And then, and then I was just like, well, if I can't hurt you, the fence will. So I like pushed her into the fence. Again, she was out. So I'm really sorry for that. I feel
Ah,
so bad.
it's
But
fight.
like
It's fight game.
to me, I was just like, "What are you like, why are you not tapping?" So I was so confused. So yeah, I pushed her into the fence and then rewatching the video, I'm like, "Ooh, shit, I'm so sorry."
That's shout out to Tayani because she's, I think, really tough. She didn't want to tap.
Yeah.
She didn't want to tap,
No, not at
and
all.
and that's what happens when you don't want to tap. So that's also
Yeah.
credit to her toughness that she felt that she could go over it. But yeah, you are really strong for flyweight, I think, and that was what happened there.
Thank
Um,
you.
so now you're the LFA champion for flyweight division. Is that a title that you aim to defend, or is it just a step to the next level for you?
It's a great question. I'm not sure actually. We are trying to figure that out ourselves right now. Um, Not sure what we're gonna do. Um, yeah, we're not sure which way it's gonna go, but we're
With,
figuring that one out.
without saying too much, is there offers coming your way?
Not with fights in regards to that yet. A lot of managers, so that's kind of what we're dealing with. I don't have a manager,
Okay.
so I've made my way this far without one. And then now we're like, hey, maybe it's time to get a manager to get if we want to get to another step. So that's what we're in the process of figuring out which manager we want. And then we'll go from there. I think that's the next step.
Was your coach handling all this until now? That part of
My coach and I,
yeah.
both of us, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive.
Thanks.
I think that's gonna also be beneficial for them to have somebody taking that part over because I guess it's some more stress to handle that part. So I'm sure it will be
Yeah.
great for everybody in your team. Um, if you watch at your first professional fights, like you said, you have bad memory and you're not good at this, but if you should take a step back and look at what you were doing when you were fighting your first pro fights, what would you say was your biggest improvements?
Oh God. I could say I don't even know what my improvements are. I'll say what my coach would say that I have had more confidence in myself while we're in the cage. Like I said, out of the cage, no confidence. But like when I'm in the cage, at least I'm comfortable and I've learned like how to deal with not chasing people. I did that a lot in my amateur fights. I would just say, well, frick, get over here, girl, and I'd chase them. Um, Trying to work on that, trying to control my anger a bit. I would say that's probably one of the biggest ones is like the IQ in there, like realizing when you're actually in trouble. Don't like against Jackie. That was the first time I think I've ever really been on the ground at all.
Yeah.
And it was more like, hey, probably shouldn't stay in guard where my arms are there to get in a triangle or an armbar. Um, Whereas I wouldn't have known any, or like now I know that stuff, but back then I didn't. Against Joe, that one was, she was like, I don't know if she was trying to, but she was point fighting kind of, which I've never experienced that
Yeah.
before. So it was more, how do I get to her when she's backing up and moving so much? So like there was things that we had to work on for those things, which was really nice to be able to experience that stuff at the beginning. Um, but I would say those two, that with the fight IQ inside the cage has
All right.
helped a lot.
And would you say that your preparation, the way you are approaching your fights, has changed over the time?
Not really.
Not really.
No, I mean like no, I would say they're pretty much the same. Like I listen to my coach, like he comes up with the fight camp and what our holes are, where we need to fix. I mean, we do that stuff before the fight camp, sorry, but when we're in the fight camp, it's like, okay, Shannon, this is the game plan. We kind of talk about it in the first week or two of like what I see, what he sees, what we think the game plan should be and be comfortable. Like, because obviously what he sees might not be something I would be
Yeah.
willing to do or something. So we kind of discuss that every time in the first week or two of fight camp. And it's, then I just listen to him and he makes the rest of it based on our fight plan. That's how it's always been.
All right. And
Mhm.
and still in that optic to looking back, was there for you a win or performance that felt particular in your eyes that was kind of a click that gave you a click like okay this is my best fight or that you understand something with a particular performance.
Honestly, each one.
Yeah.
I've learned so much from each fight. I feel like I don't have a lot of experience compared to people where that have won title belts. So I have learned a lot. Like for example, like maybe the first time against which the first time I got to play like against my last fight, I played on the ground a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have done that against a black belt Brazilian jiu-jitsu for the final. Usually you would have that experience a little bit beforehand, so you knew if you were good or bad on the ground. Um, but I definitely did that in this fight. I was like, well, like I'm okay here. Like let's
Yeah.
see what we could do. But again, I don't have that experience that a lot of other people would have. So each fight I have learned a lot. And honestly, I can't pick out one fight where I've learned the most. I've learned so much in every single fight.
And you're somebody that stays really active. You fight a lot in a small amount of time. Is it your wish to be that active and not let too much time pass through each fights in each fight camps?
Yeah. I think I don't have probably too many more years left of fighting. Just because of the kids that when they grow up and they start doing sports, I'm not
Yeah.
someone that could be like, you guys on the sidelines, I'm still doing stuff. So to me, it's fight as much and let's just go until I can't, until like life's too busy elsewhere. So that's why we've probably have fought so many times because it's just do it now because you're not
Yeah.
going to much longer.
Yeah. Because now you have 5 fights in 2 years. So I mean that's kind of big. And for sure you're gonna fight again this year, I suppose. So yeah, it's pretty tough. Looking a bit now into the future, what are your aspirations in terms of your career? Do you want to go to the UFC or is the organization not really that important, but just a higher level than LFA? How do you see your future?
Um, Honestly, I've never had to think about my future until now, um, which is crazy. Like I've never even thought anything would be like I'm like, well, just a fight. I don't know. It's never been a goal to be in the UFC. It's never been a goal to be like PFL, would have been Bellator. Like none of that stuff has never even crossed my mind because I'm like, well, I'm just from Lethbridge, Alberta. Who gives a shit? Like you're not making it anywhere. Um, and then again, after this last fight, realizing how big LFA even is, like it took me probably after my win the last week to be like, whoa, people actually watch this. Like it's so weird to me. It blows my mind still. Um, so I don't know what the next step is. I don't know where I even want to. I'm just, like I said, just figuring all this out because I didn't even think that that would ever have
Yeah.
to be a thing I wanted. Um, But yeah, so the last week was an eye opener of what my fight, like how big that meant. Still to me is like, well, maybe it's not actually that big, and I'm just people are blowing it out of proportion for me. But yeah, so I really don't know where I want to go. I don't know what I want to do. I have no idea. I just know that I don't think I can walk away yet from the sport. I think I
No,
still
you
need to have at least
can't.
another fight. And that's all I know so far.
Is this now that you're getting more recognition on higher level? Is this something you're enjoying also? Is this sometime you're taking a bit of step back and say, oh, I come this far, I got that recognition, people looking after me. Is it something you enjoy as well?
I mean, on one hand, yes, but on the other hand, it's just weird. Like I said, it's just not who I am. I don't post on social media. Um I just don't ever I've never cared. I go on social media to like creep on other people, not to like actually like to me it's like who gives a shit? No one cares about my life is what I feel like. So I've just never been someone that looks for the fame or the people that want to get to know me or
Yeah.
anything. I'm just like, well, why? I don't. So it's kind of weird to me, honestly. I have not adapted to that at all. Um, and that's probably why when people message me, sometimes it takes forever to respond back because I'm just like, ah, fuck, I don't know what you want to say. Thanks. Like, I really appreciate people like taking time to even message me. Like, that means so much to me. And I'm just like, wow, like, thank you. Um, but I just know that eventually it's gonna die. And I just, it's not like it's something you want to get used to in life. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think that's a good insight there that it's not gonna last forever. But some people will say, yeah, because it's not gonna last forever, maybe enjoy it, but you go with the other approach, which is also, I think, something you have to
Yeah.
respect. Um,
Yeah.
that was actually the last of my questions. Is there, before we leave each other, is there anything you would like to add to, I don't know, to your fans, your support, family, anybody of, yeah,
Um, just thank you for anyone who watches me. Like that means so much to me, and it's still weird that you care, but thank you. And thank you to obviously my family. Like could not do it without their support. Um, and the boys I train with, my coach Joel Odorsky, but like the boys I train with, they don't get any recognition ever because they're not MMA fighters. They're not the usual. So I just when I won this last fight, I know I went to the camera. I don't think people really could hear it, but I was like, this is for you boys. Like, this is for us. Cause to me, it's not, this has never been about me. It's a team. Like, it's us doing this. We're here, everything. And unfortunately, they're behind the scenes and no one knows who they are, but people would be very lucky to train with them. Like, very lucky.
that's a great message, great recognition of your teammates. Once again, I want to thank you for your time. I know it's not you don't have an easy schedule, and you took almost 1 hour to be with us, so that's amazing. Um, I will put your socials, even if you don't go in it, in the description.
No,
Uh,
I will. I'm getting better. The
yeah,
last like week, I've
nice.
been better than how I've been. But I don't even think I posted that I won my fight. Like I think
No, you
people have
didn't.
taken me in. No,
I
I
saw
think people
that.
have taken me in it, and then like I like because you just push accept and it shows up on your wall. But like I don't think I've even done that. So I'm like, frick, I really will get around to this. I swear. So I'm sorry, everyone. I
You'll
will figure this out.
you'll get better. You'll get better for sure.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you so much, and I wish you nothing but the best. I want to see you fight again, so you cannot retire already.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Take care and see you next time. That was it for today's episode. Once again, I'm really thankful to Shannon Clark. She took her time in order to be with us. I really appreciated that. As you can see, she has a really atypical career. I really think we need those kind of profiles in MMA. I will put her socials in the description of this video, so please give her some love and some support. I hope to see her fight soon because she's really impressive. Until then, I will see you in the next Fight IQ show. Enjoy the fights. See you next week.